do, YouTube? Ambitious Abe, aka AmB, and we back at it with another one. So in this video, I want to do a quick question and answer session and answer the questions I most commonly get in my Instagram DMs and in my comments, and just from like other social medias. But before I do, real quick, I want to shout out my boy Yinka and Davis. You know what I'm saying? Check out this fly shirt, the body apparel. You feel me? Nice cotton, nice, you know what I'm saying, fit. You know what I'm saying? Boys gotta look good, feel good, to be good. All right, cool. So without further ado, the first question I most commonly get is, what's the hardest part about med school? Honestly, I believe that like the content, the material, like at surface level isn't that hard. You know what I mean? Like it boils down to like understanding like physiology, how things work. And then once you realize how things should work, it's kind of easy to like conceptualize how, like where diseases come from when things stop working as they're supposed to. I think where med school becomes difficult is the volume of information that they ask you to learn and how quickly they expect you to learn it. It's just, you know, it's a lot of information. So I think that's what makes it challenging. But academics wise, it's like I was expecting that, so it really wasn't that shocking to me. I expected to, you know, have to work hard and work all the time. That's kind of what my mindset was before I got into med school. I think the hardest thing about med school for me is just honestly the sacrifices that it takes all the time. You know what I'm saying? You know, 4 years, a lot of things happen in your life in 4 years, and unfortunately you're not going to be able to participate in every life event because, you know, school comes first, and because, you know, you got to handle your obligations as a full-time student. So oftentimes, like, you find yourselves not being able to, you know, do the things that your friends of your age may be doing. So one of the hardest things for me is like, I got two brothers, you know, we're all like one age apart, and I see my brothers getting money, you know what I mean? And my big brother has a nice job, my little brother just graduated and he already has a nice job, and they're getting money. You feel me? Like, well, I'm not getting money, you know? So it's just kind of annoying to see like your classmates, your age mates, you know, already in their jobs, already in their career, and you're still kind of like working towards yours. But obviously, like, we know there's an end path, and like it's gonna all pay off in the end, but you know, it's kind of annoying. So that's basically the first point. Just the sacrifice it takes to be a good medical student, just sometimes it's overbearing, you know? But it's nothing that we can't conquer. Like, people have gone through med school, people become doctors, it's doable. We gonna do it, just it's tough. So the next question I get is medical school what I expected it to be. And I kind of touched on this point in my last answer. For me, my mindset when I got accepted, or when I told myself I'm going into medicine, I expected to suffer. That's just kind of how I trained my brain. How I looked at it from the undergrad perspective, I was like, okay, 4 years is a long time, but 2 years will be additional like school suffering, and then 1 year you'll be in a clinic trying to figure it out, and then the fourth year you'll just kind of be, you know what I mean, like trying to figure out where you're gonna go. So I breaking it down like that has kept it more manageable for me, just to understand like I gotta pay my dues, you know what I mean? Like I gotta pay the cost to be the boss, and it's just the process that I'm in. So as far as like academic rigor, I programmed I was already programmed in my mind that like, okay, this is what it's gonna take. That's why like I'm such a big advocate of like doing a little every day, pancakes every day, because it's like, what else am I supposed to do? This is what my dad sent me here to do. One thing I didn't expect in med school was to really just find a lot of dope individuals, you know what I mean? I thought it was gonna be a lot of squares, you know what I mean? A lot of like dorks, you feel me? But I got a lot of like just dope people. There's a lot of dope people in medicine, like people that like, you know, I will legitimately be friends with, like in my class. And I met a lot of other dope people just through, you know, social media and this YouTube channel. So I think that was also a good like revelation that, you know, like, okay, like everybody in med school isn't a nerd. You know what I mean? Like, we're all nerds deep down, but like, you know, we're still kind of cool. And I thought that was pretty dope. All right, so our next question I get a lot is, how do I stay motivated? Like, where do I get my drive from? So interestingly enough, two things about me where I kind of get my drive from. One, I'm very competitive. Like, I think I get my competitiveness from both my brothers are like bigger than me, you know? Like, they're both like 6'2", I'm like 5'7", you know what I'm saying? So, and I never really wanted to be the dude that couldn't hoop with him, or, you know, play football with him, or things like that. So I've always had a competitive drive to, you know, keep up with my brothers and stuff. And that drive just has driven me through college, and now it drives me in med school. Like, for me, like an A or whatever the best mark you can get is what you should shoot for, because it's like, all right, well, this is the position this is what I want. This is what I need to get where I want. I got to do the work to get there. So that being competitive, that natural competitiveness in me just drives me to be like, all right, like, I'm not ashamed to outwork you. Like, it doesn't make me feel bad. So that kind of drives me to, even though I don't want to do it, you don't want to finish that last sprint. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to do that last push-up, but you know at the end of the day, it's gonna make you better. 1, 2, I'm terribly afraid of failure. Like, I thank God that I really haven't had like a huge academic like setback yet. And like I felt one class in high school, really just because I was an idiot. And I felt like maybe like 2 or 3 tests in college. And I thank God, because, you know, I'm so scared to fail that like I will do more than the rest of the people will do. You see what I'm saying? So that fear of failure, or that fear of like it's not even about all getting A's. Like, you know, if I put in my best foot and I don't get an A, the fact that I know that I did every rep that I could keeps me okay. But failing, I don't know, like that. I personally just, I don't feel like you have to fail. I remember coming to college, people were like, oh, it's okay to fail your first test. I got an 89 on my first test. So I was like, okay, well, this is my first test. I did okay, so I'm gonna continue to do okay. You see what I'm saying? So that fear of like, okay, like, damn, like busting your balls and getting a 60, I'm just like, well, I always figure out, okay, what are the people that are being successful? What are they doing? All right, let me just follow the pathway that's set for me. You know what I mean? And I find whoever is, you know, chomping, see the keys, and then try to follow it. So that fear of failure is what also motivates me. So that competitiveness and fear of failure has done me well so far. So number 4, the next question I get commonly asked is, hey, how do you maintain, you know, a school and social life balance? You know, a lot of people, I guess, commend me because they're like, damn, like you really be, you know, on scene, or you be active, you be involved, yeah, you do well in school. Like, how do you balance the two? I do have a video on how like I maintain my balance and like study effectively. So check that out if you haven't already. But I think for me, it's just prioritizing what you want to do. You know what I mean? Certain things that like people do that I just don't do as much. Like, I don't really take naps. You know, like if I get out of class and I know that the Rockets play at 7, or I know that there's a happy hour at 8 or something like that, I'm gonna get out of class, do my time, put in my work, and then do the other things. You know what I mean? I think from outside looking in, it looks like I'm so balanced because I choose to, what makes me happy is being like an extrovert, being like out, you know what I'm saying, like being social. Whereas other people, what makes them happy is taking a nap. What makes them happy is binge watching a show. What makes them happy is cooking or playing with their pets. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think I do a better job than any other person in like maintaining my school life balance, but the things that I choose to spend my time on just happen to be like social events or, you know, group organizations, things like that. But to that point, still, like I make hay while the sun is due. You know what I mean? I try to wake up early. I try to treat school like a 9 to 5, you know, get out of class. As soon as I get out of class, I do my work. I try not to waste time like on Instagram, try not to waste time on YouTube, try not to waste time on, you know what I'm saying, Netflix. And then I like do all of those things after I've already put in my work. And then at that point, I don't feel bad about going to, you know, happy hour. I don't feel bad about watching an episode of this show or that show. I don't feel bad about doing things like that. So that's kind of how I stay balanced. Like I said, check out that video if you haven't. So the last question I get asked often, and it's also a topic that I do want to discuss, is have I ever faced prejudice, or do I ever feel disadvantaged by being a minority student in medical school? You know, if you just look at the data, you know, Black African Americans make up maybe like 5% of all the total medical school population. In my class, we have like 210 med students, and there's like 10 of us, you know what I mean? So that's like 5%. And that's a common theme across most medical schools, except if you're at like an HBCU, which is a historically Black college or university, where they have, you know, more representative population. For me, you know, I went to UT Austin. It's a predominantly white institution. And getting into med school, I think that was also part of one of the harder transitions for me. Because even at UT, you had like the black community, so it really wasn't, you didn't feel like singled out. But in med school, like the numbers shrunk so much, and you're in a class and you're literally like, okay, every day for the next 4 years, these are the people I'm gonna be surrounded with, and you're like, where we at? You know, at first it kind of took me back. I personally use that as actually another motivator for me, because I believe that like I'm just as capable as performing in any of my classmates. Does that make sense? I would dare one of my classmates to tell me I got in because I'm black. Like, no, I got in because I work harder than you. Does that make sense? Also, being a black face in a predominantly white space means you stand out without trying. You know what I mean? So because I, you know, put in the energy, I'm the question asker in my class. I come to every class, I'm, you know, active, I'm engaged. Teachers see me and they just automatically like vibe with me. Like, people know my name before they know Scott or Chase. You know what I'm saying? Because Scott and Chase are everybody else, but, you know, like, oh, that Abraham kid, you know, he's contrasting the background. Does that make sense? And when you're a minority that shows energy, shows effort, you're gonna get that much more favor and that much more, like, you know, rapport, because they're like, okay, like, especially when they may have not expected you to be as, you know, intelligent as you are, and they're like, oh, okay, man, this guy got this, come on, a little something, you know what I mean? And I feel like that served me well throughout my whole academic career, being the only black guy in the class, because although I'm the only black guy in the class or whatever, like, I'm still capable of performing with everybody else, and it just kind of gives you, like, honestly, I think it's kind of it's a advantage. It's like, okay, well, when they're looking for somebody to, you know, represent them, you know, they're gonna pick you, and I think I like that as well. As far as prejudice, yeah, I mean, it's real. You know what I mean? I feel like I have a lot going for me, but I'm still a black man in America, so all the things that come with that still affect me. So I'll tell y'all a story. So my first semester in med school, it was actually our biochem final, our first like big final. You know what I mean? Your boy worked hard, won't. I'm headed to the auditorium across like campus, and this police officer stops me. Like, it's like 7:55 a.m. This police officer stops me. He's like, hey, excuse me, sir, do you have an ID? And I look around, you know, I seen a dude walking from over there, and he ain't asked anybody else for ID, but he asked me for my ID. And the whole time I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, you know what, bro, you have a test to take in 10 minutes. Mind you, my first med school exam. You got a test to take in 10 minutes, like, just flush it out. I showed him my ID, here you go, officer, you know what I mean? But like, that experience could have been so traumatizing to the point where I'm trying to figure out, like, wow, do I really belong? While instead of, like, you know, focusing on this test, you know, my energy would have been diverted. After that experience, I went straight to my dean's office and straight to the, you know, administration. I was like, hey, I'm not gonna have to validate, you know, my existence on this campus. Like, my other classmates aren't being asked for the IDs everywhere they go. I'm thinking, like, bro, it's 7:55 a.m., bro. Like, if I wasn't supposed to be here, I'll be asleep. Come on, like, get off of me type shit. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, those little things, those microaggressions, you know, those, like, when you're in the hospital and you walk into a room, somebody asks you, are you the PA, or, you know what I'm saying? Or like those microaggressions, like, they are reality. But I think as long as you just, like, understand that, like, not, like, it's part of life, and don't really just let it, like, define you, or don't let it make you, then you just brush that to the side and keep moving. Personally, I'm waiting for the, oh, I don't want a black doctor to touch me, you know what I'm saying, or treat me, because it happens to most minority physicians in their career. And I've already prepped myself mentally, so when it happens, I won't be, like, angry, or I'll kind of know how I'm gonna react. But it's one of those things that you have to do as a minority physician. You see what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, like, hey, we are just as capable as anybody watching these videos. And for my non-African American black subscribers that watch my videos, you know, just check your, like, unconscious biases, and just ask yourself, if you do things unconsciously, if you see black people, or, you know, a different type of way, just work on it internally. You know what I mean? We all have our unconscious biases that we have to work on. So as long as you, like, kind of identify it and move forward, then everybody will move towards a better place. Sorry, that kind of got deep, but it's important, so I did want to talk about it. So the last question I get often is, am I single? At the moment, yes. You know what I mean? I'm really just not trying to focus on that right now, but I know that'll come when it comes. But you know, your boy's just out here just trying to, you know, finish his degree, get into residency, and then at that point it's like, what's happening, what's popping, you feel me? Anywho, Ambitious Abe, again, thank y'all for the support, thank y'all for this comments, positive energy, subscribe, like, all of that, you feel me? And let's keep things popping. You know what it is. Stay humble, stay hungry. Let's get it.